thing. Too.
I had a little film work when I worked on Viva La Bam. So there was a lot of that. That was that MTV show, Bam Margera. Viva La Bam.
I know Bam. I know what you're talking about.
Right,
but
so
seriously?
We're starting.
Let's
Tell us about this.
Let's go.
And then we'll intro you formally. Right?
Yeah.
No, a friend of mine in Westchester, bandmate, if you will, Tim Glom, was wrapped up with the Jackass crew, the Jackass movies, all that stuff.
And they were PA too, right?
Yeah, Westchester.
Right. Yeah.
So he was wrapped up with them. So he had me come in as a climber on a couple projects that they did.
Interesting.
And that's how I kind of got wrapped up in that.
So
it was fun
for a show, like
yeah.
And so, what did the climbing? What type? of
Treetop Casino. We built a casino and
Oh no, I don't know.
tree.
Okay, so you went and helped with that.
Yeah, we built a treetop casino that's like super unsafe. Like, and there was like 90 people in it. I swear to God, not 90, but there was.
Wow.
There was a lot of people out there, and I was going, I don't know if this thing's going to collapse or not.
Wow. So were you just helping with the construction, or were you in the show?
Well,
too?
I was part of the whole building and everything else. So, but yeah.
Anybody else we know involved in that? Anybody else from our world?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I got you.
No. So
cool.
Dude, that's awesome. Is this something that at some point we can go back to and find it?
Oh yeah. Just look up the Viva La Bam, the Treetop Casino, and then like one of the first episodes, they like April, the mom went out of town and they built a giant skate park in the backyard and through the house and everything. Yeah. But then rains were coming, so Tim Colton went down, was helping them string up tarps and shit like that.
That's crazy. So that's that classic thing, like where the mom's like, "I'm going out of town, no parties." Cuz built a skate park in his backyard.
Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah, and through the house. Yeah,
little dude.
Yeah, inside the house.
Because I don't know what year this is, but that was kind of like
that was 2004.
Yeah, so I definitely say I don't remember the episodes, but definitely you said the mom and dad's name.
Yeah,
the dad's a heavy set guy, super cool. They always mess with him.
Yeah,
the mom's like, just stop,
yeah,
freaking out all the time. But literally, what he's saying, like Bam Margera, was like a complete menace to his parents. And when he says through the house, he means through the house. 100%.
I gotta check that out.
It's so entertaining.
Oh, cool.
It really is.
Treetop Casino. Look it up. I'm sure it's on YouTube or something. Yeah.
All right, so we're kind of just doing a rolling start. We're Aging Arborist podcast. This is episode 6. Episode 6. It's like, it's like losing count of like it's November already.
I know.
Like we hit the calendar. So we're sitting down with our good friend Mike Teti. Is that, by the way, how you say it?
Teti. Yes. Teti. Not Teti, not Teddy, not Titty, not T-tie, it's the number 80. Write out the number 80 and put a T in front of it.
And you've heard all those ones that you said. You've heard it all.
Hey, I played Pee Wee football, and the coach, and you know this from being a kid, you got away with a lot more. He literally duct tape, first day across tape, masking tape, wrote Titty on the masking tape and stuck it on my helmet. So
that's great.
That was as a 12-year-old kid or whatever it was. That was my name.
And now that would be damaging and forbidden.
Oh my God! Oh my God! He'd go to jail. He'd go to jail. Not only would he get fired, he'd get jailed and put out of his home.
You can't say that to kids.
Oh, dear Lord. Yeah. So, I grew up with that my whole life. But
that's awesome.
It's Teti.
Okay. Yeah. And that's what I thought, because like people would say it to me, but you don't always know if the people you're getting information from is right and proper.
True.
Has origins in Egypt, actually. It's Italian. Right? It's Italian, but it has origins in Egypt.
Interesting.
So the story goes, you could go to a pyramid of Teti. I don't know how they pronounce it, but 6th dynasty, right? I'm pretty sure somehow they owe me money. I don't know.
That would be awesome.
At least get a little bit of gold or something.
You know what I mean? Plot of land or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. But kicked out of Egypt, sent to Italy, and that's where.
Nice. I like. We went way back there.
Yeah,
that's what we did.
Yeah,
nice.
So I think what we'll do is just kind of, obviously we know Mike. Sometimes it's hard to remember like when and where, how
it's been a long time. We met through Lou Giroux for sure.
Yes. Was it at an expo for the first time you were at a table having lunch or something? Is that the first time?
Yeah. That's, I'll say, I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Because I think I remember Lou introducing us formally.
Yeah.
And I think I had, this has been a theme for me because I'm always like, before I knew you, I saw you.
Right.
Yes.
And that's been a thing because I remember last episode we had Desmond on, and I just remember seeing Desmond. I'm like, oh, there's somebody I've never seen before.
Right.
And
Yeah, that would have been somewhere between 96 and 99, somewhere around there. Yeah.
That long ago, dude.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah, I believe so, because otherwise it would have been like 09 to 13, and I knew you then.
You knew it.
So
okay. Because I was trying to think, you had, so did you start with Lou? Like,
No.
did you have 2 stints with Lou? I mean,
I did 2 stints with Lou, yeah.
And that second time you were in like training, safety.
Yeah, it was heading that direction, started in production. Well, I was a salary guy in production. That was the ultimate goal, and did get there, and absolutely hated that job. So yeah.
All right.
Love Lou to death. Yeah, great human being, but I hated that job.
Since we're here, what was it about that job as opposed to some other ones that you had that kind
of?
Let me jump in real quick. So you guys are talking with familiarity. So for the listeners and myself, you're talking about Lou. Is that your first job?
No, sir.
So let's go with the first job and then lead up to Lou, just so that everybody kind of gets the full story.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
We can do the formal kind of.
Yeah, we'll get there. The short story there is I took that job. I went in and took that job because I thought I needed to. Okay. I thought I needed to get out of production climbing, get into more of a training role, kind of, getting a little beat up maybe. And I don't think I was, I just was afraid of maybe getting that way, and headed in that direction. And just this, just the work was great, but the less work I did and the more paperwork I did, the less I liked it. Yeah. And the more managing of humans. And with I couldn't only imagine the politics of today, but even 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was at this point, I grew up where if you got called a pussy, right? You're being a bitch, get to work. This is what you do. And if you say that stuff now, it's a problem. So I had a hard time not being that guy. So faults, whatever, I don't care. That's just who I am.
Yeah,
so
you're authentic.
Yeah.
And you're always going to be you.
Yeah, this is a profession you chose. Don't bitch about it.
Yeah.
So it's tree work. Sometimes you got to pick up a piece of wood, right? Sometimes you got to work in the rain. Sometimes you got to just do things that suck. It's hard work. Any way you look at it, it's hard work. And if you chose to do this, then deal with it.
Yeah, I'll add to it. If you chose to do this, you also have to accept the package as it comes.
Right.
Rather than I chose to do this, but I want it like this.
Yes.
Like, no.
Yeah.
This is how you get in the package. If you don't like it, leave. If you want it, then you'll figure out how to deal with it.
Got called into the office a couple times for
being aggressive,
for being mean to somebody. I got told on, and I'm like, yeah.
So and
not really for me.
So they didn't come to you first and go, "Hey," like there wasn't a discussion. It was kind of behind the back and like, he's hurting my feelings type of thing, and that didn't resonate with you.
No,
understood.
No, not at all. And just the paperwork, driving around in a pickup truck and watching other people work, and things of that nature. Super hard. And wanting to, like, hey, I got some time. I'm gonna go help these guys out, jump in a tree, do whatever. Call it training if you want. I don't care. Just what I'm going to go do. And actually getting a little pushback from that. I'm like, you got other stuff to do. And I was like, well, I know, but this is part of what I do too. So, and if we're being honest, this is what I'd rather be doing. So yeah, the big picture just didn't work for me. So here you go.
No, I think so that section sounds like you, obviously, we know you were in the tree industry. This opportunity came up that sounded like potentially the next best step.
Yes.
And then you found out what that experience was like, and you're not quite ready for that step yet.
I don't, that let me know that I'll never be ready for that step.
Okay.
I want to peel back the onion on that a little bit because I think the podcast in its nature, like the Aging Arborist, and we'll just re-clarify this because we talked about this a minute ago. You had said, is there going to be guys over 50 or under 50 on this podcast? And I had said, like, it's a continuum, right? My son is 19, but he's aging. Right. Someone's 24 and they're aging. So we're moving down this continuum of time. The Aging Arborist is for that journey, and you can be anywhere on that timeline. But you said something in there that I picked up on that I thought was interesting, and I've grappled with this myself, and I'm sure you're kind of there too. I'm curious. You said, I took the job because I thought I had to, because I was getting beat up, or maybe I wasn't. Just kind of, I guess what I'm asking is, can you just unpack a little bit of what made you think that maybe you were getting beat up? What made you think that maybe that was the next progression? And then I want it, as we expand on that, the next part of that will be, how are you now physically, mentally? And
gotcha.
Is that, yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
You're beautiful.
I was not getting beat up.
Okay.
Because
what was your age at that time? I'm sorry to interrupt, but so you would have
40.
been okay.
So late 30.
Okay.
40.
Yep.
Yeah. So gotcha. I celebrated my 40th birthday there. So yeah, might have been less than I was there back there less than a year.
Okay.
So but I wasn't getting beat up because honestly, and this is something we can get into later when you talk about aging arborists and stuff like that and the comp stuff. I was climbing in my opinion, at my best at 40.
Okay.
Right.
I
they're just there was it kind of got a little rough in what was going on, and I didn't feel like I was climbing as good. I didn't feel as productive and everything else. And I think that kind of led me into that path. But once I got in there and was doing it every day again and like just hammering out, I literally, I think those may have been some of my best physical climbing years. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but then, it went too much of the management side, and it wasn't worth it.
So I'll hop in and help you out because, first of all, I'm in the same boat you're in. Even though I'm 44 now, but I also feel like
Are you that old?
Yeah.
I didn't think you were that old.
Good thing or
it's
bad
not.
thing?
Obviously, it's not old.
No,
right?
I'm older.
Yeah, I had to put you late 30s.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah.
I didn't say you looked like your late 30s. I just
you put me in that area.
I'd put you
it's
in
all
that
good.
grade.
It's all good. So, Paul,
how do I look?
Yeah,
exactly.
Not a day over 70, Paul. You're doing great.
You very much.
Great.
So what I was going to say was, I loved how you said that because that's like a combination of time put in, which turns into experience.
Right.
And then yes, technically, people always talk about the body and then these challenges that come, but I've always been a firm believer that only comes when you don't apply all aspects of wellness to that direction. So hearing that is not only encouraging, hopefully encouraging for the listeners as well. But the one thing I want to say is I got taught by old school climbers. Mm-hmm. Yes, I went to a municipality, but they were climbers from the private industry that went there for retirement.
Right.
Still on old school systems. And I feel like now, but looking back on it, I feel like that's always been the thing. Around 40 was the time to be like, oh, you're not going to make it. You got to make the right moves. You got to go into training. You got to go to municipality. So I wonder.
Can't climb forever.
Exactly. So exactly. And I'm glad you're bringing it up and I love it. But is it fair to say, do you think that played a role in like, hey, let me approach it this way? Because you said I wasn't beat up. But I still felt like maybe this might be the best move. So do you think that might have been like the culture mindset?
I think it was all mental. I think it was all mental. It was 100% mental. I was having wasn't feeling strong or whatever the deal was in the time frame leading up to that, or something like that, and just felt like it was just a natural progression to like, maybe it's time I have some experience. I have this good knowledge base. This seems like a very logical transition for me to get out of the saddle and in the, more of a training role. Okay. I'm a climber, man.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I'm glad, because that's what I was trying to drill into. Mm-hmm. And because I had heard Mark say it in episode 2, was that, I kept hearing guys say these things. So, we hear narratives repeated over and over again, and you kind of start to buy in, or it's in your head. Sometimes we're influenced and we really don't realize it, or maybe we begin to feel things. Mm-hmm. I ran into a guy on the trade show floor at Expo, and maybe we'll dive into that a little bit, but he recently sold his business, and he's 5 years older than me, and he was like, I always heard when you go from 40 to 50 is one thing, but 50 to 60 is a whole nother. And he's like, I'm losing mass and I'm getting injured more. And I don't doubt that that's true, but I think you have to beat back father time. Like, you've got to actively work at it.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a can't outwork your diet kind of scenario. Yeah. You know what I mean? You have to, you come to a point where you can't outwork your diet. Right. So you need to be a little more forward thinking and eating right and doing all those things, which I'm sure we can go into. But now you just really need to pay attention more. You just have to pay attention more to what you're eating and what you're doing and everything else. But I think the climbing sometimes gets a little easier because you just get a little more efficient.
I would agree.
You just get more efficient at what you're doing. I'm watching guys that are 30 years younger than me at 2:00 on any given day, and they're whooped, and they're fit. They are fit.
Yeah.
They're whooped.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Where's the problem here? You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Not that I'm some great athlete or anything. It's just
you said the key word, efficient.
Yeah.
I think that's an undervalued concept or word. Like, if you really, you can have all the tools, but if you're not efficient, then you're going to be working harder while using those tools.
Yeah, for sure.
So, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's interesting because Mason has had an experience watching some other guys climb. Like, we have some other contract guys or guys that we had work for us, and quite a bit younger than me. And recently, I've been a little more out there,
right?
2 days a week, 3 days a week, depending. And we did a tree a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, you don't look like you're moving fast. He's like, but the stuff's coming down.
Yeah.
And he's like, and it's funny for him to say, because he's not a big compliment your dad type of guy. He doesn't want to tell me that stuff,
right.
But he's like, man, and I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
One thing I want to touch on is about when people say things like they say, like, at some time you have to tap out your body. What I was driving at is, as much as we have to watch what we put in our bodies, I think sometimes we have to watch the narratives that we subscribe to, right? So people say things like that, and it just, even if we don't grab it and say, yeah, that's probably true, it gets in our psyche.
Right.
Right. And so we heard it somewhere, and then we're feeling certain things, or maybe we're having an off week, or we got an injury that won't heal, and we're like, you know what? Maybe it is time for me to tap out. So I think we have to control what goes in, not just the body,
sure,
but the brain.
Yeah. No, I feel great now. Dealing with some stuff here and there, but nothing great. But mentally, I feel great, especially the trade shows. Just volunteered at the TCC and the trade show, and that stuff is just invigorating, energizing. What's the word I'm looking for?
Stimulating.
Dear Lord.
Challenging.
Oh yeah, exactly. Pick a word.
Motivating.
Inspiring.
Inspiring. That's the word I'm trying to spit out. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Inspiring.
Yeah. I love it. I always say, for me, it's it fills the cup.
Yes.
And then you go back to your normal life, and not that you're pouring it out, but you need some of that to keep going. So going back to whatever it is that you do to fill your cup is always a good thing to do.
Yeah. Mine is, you're a better climber on Monday for having attended that event. You're a better climber on Monday for having just shown up and been there.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's it's a theme that is developing here through conversations is exactly that. The showing up, to events. Our first episode where just you and I talked and we were kind of kicking things off. We had just come back from the Jersey climbing comp.
Yes.
And same thing. We were kind of like still now.
Right.
DCIA Expo was a week ago yesterday, started, and I'm still kind of full of some of that energy.
Mm-hmm.
So you went, yeah or no? Were you at Expo?
Yeah.
Because I don't know how I missed you.
Yeah.
I was hiding from you.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We got you here now.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
I just wanted to save something for us to talk about.
Yeah, I got
you. Know what I mean?
There's Paul. He's like,
No, I went down Friday morning and Friday night, Saturday morning. And
right on.
That was it. Yeah. So I didn't do any of the stuff. I went down and went shopping, honestly.
Oh, nice.
Shopping and networking. See my people.
100%. The tribe.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think it's.
Let me just add. I'm thinking, it's more for the listeners.
Yep.
But just so you have the concept, if you haven't gone to an event, expo, climbing competition, conferences, just understand that there's a lot of people there, and that the three of us know each other pretty well. But we probably in 3 days, 2.5 days, we hung out 4 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, and me and you hung out 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then I was like, I'll see you, and we can't because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
So that I wanted.
And you're famous, so you could probably take 20 steps and somebody's talking to you about something. So.
He's
tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
I appreciate the compliment. That's all I can say. But with that being said, just understand that is the beauty and the value of these connection points that we always talk about all the time.
Sure.
So I just wanted to plug that in.
I think it's huge.
Go up.
And I think this is a good time to kind of like unpack the segment of the volunteering, the going to events, things like that. So you competed too for a while?
Yeah.
So walk us through.
Let's see.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Boop, boop.
Okay,
my light's going off.
Okay. What do you got?
I want you to, unpack it because he tells a story about you guys that have come together. But I want to, just.
I think 98.
Okay.
Something like that. Somewhere's in around there.
Yep.
Like I'd compete for 4 or 5 years and take a break and compete for a couple years and take a break.
Yep.
And then the last time I completed was in that 2010, 2011,
okay.
2012 time frame, which is where we met. I think it was 2011.
2011.
I think.
So what did, and because we unpacked this a little bit with Todd Pearson when he was on, and obviously Mark, legend in the climbing circles.
Who?
that was quick, man. That was good.
No, we didn't even finish.
Yeah, that was
Love
good.
it.
So what did the, just unpack a little bit, the comp game, what you think, what it offered you first and foremost, but also, we try to encourage folks that maybe have that little bit of fear and they're like, I'm not worthy of a comp. So.
Yeah, no, camaraderie is a giant thing that comes out of that. You get in your group, you know what I mean? And just the exchange of information, the exchange of ideas, the encouragement, all that stuff, and the camaraderie that comes out of direct competition. You're directly competing against the people in your group, it's phenomenal. And then from there, just the ability to just sit and watch somebody else do what you're doing every day, you know what I mean? To get a different perspective, especially guys that are one crew, they don't always work with a bunch of people, they kind of, get a bigger array of how things get done and how people can do things. And, just tree climbing is tree climbing, it's very fluid and, 10 different ways to do the same thing. So, and you get to see all that, so, gear, new techniques, good people, cold beer at the end of that, and you're good to go. So you're ready for Monday. You're ready to get to work on Monday. You're ready to go to work on Monday.
We got to put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
I
love it. So I don't know how to word it, but something, right? Ready for Monday.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
We'll get into the tree work part, but what grabbed your attention? Or maybe somebody brought it to you at the competition? How did that happen?
Yeah, now we're getting into mentor stuff. So this is getting this is getting back to the beginnings.
It is.
So if you're ready to go down that road,
we'll start there.
That's we'll go down that road.
Let's
go.
So, but it'll lead up to that for
That's
sure.
good.
So.
Yeah, take us back.
I love it.
1991 is when I started.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
An ex-girlfriend dropped off a Montgomery County newspaper, the neighboring county, so I wouldn't have seen it.
Yep.
Looking for a job, and I was always employed out of high school and ever, but for some reason I was in a gap there, and I don't remember exactly what I was doing before that. But at any rate, I'm looking through a job, and there's an ad in the paper for a truck driver. I was like, all right, John, I need something. I'll just go check it out. And it was over. It was a Gerhardt Tree Service. So I go over to the interview, and the guy's like, you'll drive the truck, and you'll be a helper to the foreman on the job. I'm like, okay, cool. So can you drive a stick? I'm like, yeah, no problem. And in theory, everything else didn't know, drove automatics, you know what I mean? But I could drive a stick. So that weekend, borrowed my buddy's pickup, a 72 C10 3-speed, just to run around, just to get a little comfortable. Yeah. And then Monday morning, went to work, spent 2 days with the stump grinding guy. And then got on a job that lasted a whole week with a crew. It was a giant tulip in the backyard down in the city. Wissahickon area, big giant trees down there.
Yeah.
Back down a hill, no equipment, rolling 4-foot, 3-foot rounds up the driveway, just like everything, poison ivy. The trunk hit the ground, and there was like a 20-foot bee's nest, honey bee's nest.
Oh my God.
Trunk hit the ground, bees everywhere. So poison ivy, bees, dragon brush, uphill, whisper chippers, like every shitty experience you could have on a job site.
Just add a little chafe in there and you got it all covered.
It was June.
It probably came after a week.
It was June. So I'm sure it was warm enough.
Yeah.
Right. And then I remember a guy on that job. That's where I learned to run bowling. I remember it to this day. I can't remember the kid's name he showed me, but to this, somebody said towards the end of that week, you make it through this job and you're in this for life.
Wow.
Here I am.
Wow.
Dude, I love that.
That's really cool.
It just rung true, and
was there a point, Mike, where it clicked, or did you just wake up and go, man, I'm 3 years in, I don't see myself, like it just kind of happened? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
no, there was that week, and then it was the climbing. I was fascinated with the climbing.
Okay.
So I wanted to climb, I had zero experience. Didn't even know there was a tree industry. Didn't know anything.
It's
had
invisible.
no idea there was a tree industry.
Yeah, dude.
Right. I answered an ad paper for a truck driver.
Yep.
Yeah. And then here I'm just dragging brush and feeding whisper chippers and doing all the things, So
when you the truck driver in the ad didn't say anything about trees either. That's
truck driver needed
it. They were hiding it.
Yep. Truck driver needed it. 100%.
You're gonna suffer.
That's right.
I was like, what's that? A chipper? Oh wow, that's neat.
Yeah.
So
that's chipper. Yeah.
So, but no, it was the climbing. I stayed at that job for 8 months, and took a full-time job climbing after that. So
what systems were being used back then, climbing wise?
I had a 2D ring saddle, so no lanyard.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Yeah.
And
rope knots?
Three strand ropes were there, but the Arborplex and the 3-strand.
Yep.
More to that story in that, and this was mentorship, mentor number 1.
Yeah.
All right. I had 4 people direct my direction in life, and this was number 1. That was Joe Kidder. And I don't know if it's because he was lazy or because he saw something in me and pushed me to do it.
Yeah.
But and that was the climbing stuff. So he was the guy, the inspiration, the one that gave me the shot, right, to get in there and do it. And like I said, stayed there for 8 months. Went to like a sub mentor, if you will, but really I should put him higher on the list just because he's the one I went and interviewed for Brooks and Barber Tree Service, Craig Brooks, up near where I live now. Okay. And, and like I was 8 months, dude. And I went to him like I can do anything. You can do anything and everything, whatever you need me to do.
That's
right?
Great.
So I went and did a work day with him. At the end of the work day, he said, "You're not that good, but I'm going to hire you anyway." So he did. He hired me as a climber, like $8 an hour or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Might have been 10. I think it was 10. I was making 8 at Gerhardt, so he gave me $10 an hour, and he hired me, and it was great. It just now forced me, and it was one crew, So did most of the climbing, and I would get mad when he would bring subs in. I would get mad.
Yeah,
I can do that.
Yeah,
I can do that. What are you paying? What are you bringing this guy in for? And not looking at that as an opportunity. I kind of failed there, not looking at letting ego.
Oh, there you go.
Interrupt the ability for me to learn something from this guy that he was, the hired gun. Mm-hmm. But that's when I did my first crane job.
Oh wow.
It was a pretty good deal.
Gary Brooks, is that his name?
Craig.
Good, Craig Brooks. Craig Brooks. I just keep going, but it sounds like Craig Brooks saw the hungry kid in you. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't. I mean, I think we can all agree at this time. There's people that want something, and there's people that are hungry for that something at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it sounds like he saw that. He was like, "You're not that good." He had no problem.
Flat out said,
which is beautiful.
His words,
which is beautiful. But he's also like, you have something that I think can make you good.
Right.
Yeah.
Moldable.
Yeah.
Like he had, because I say it like this. Like a lot of times I've gotten in trouble hiring for skill and putting the personality and the character aside. I can teach the skill, but I can't teach the character. So I look at it like if I see somebody, like you're saying, hungry, driven, and wants it, but doesn't know anything, you just keep feeding them and they're just going to keep eating.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's probably what it was to a degree, Yeah.
No, I forget what I was going to say.
No.
That happens a lot. Expect a lot of that.
I'll help you because Craig Brooks, that's where you're at. We're going towards how you got to competition climbing.
Oh,
like who brought it to you? Mentors. That's kind of where.
Right. We're at. Stayed there for a little while and was there for a year or whatever, and then did one other little line clearance project where I met Fraser Lay.
Oh, there you go.
Again, another mentor. Maybe should be higher on the list, but he was one of the first progressive climbers that I met.
Cool.
Right. So, had the Tree Climbers Companion, I believe, had come out and around then. He's like, dude, check this shit out. So awesome. It was good. So that's where I met Fraser.
That's cool.
Who you should have on the podcast for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
He's an old head for sure.
And then went back to Kidder. Kidder enters the scene again. Joe Kidder enters the scene again. Go work for him. And that, so there's a whole family of, with Luke Jardell, I worked with at Gerhardt as well. He's part of that whole crew. But the whole Jardell family were tree guys. And they were just like super cool, super in it. But like they were the On Rope guys, the book On Rope.
Yep.
Everybody familiar?
Oh, yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah, I will be.
I will.
It's a legend.
Yes,
it's just a legendary.
Stalwart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those guys, but Gus, they were Fairmount Park City tree guys.
Yeah,
so back when they had tree guys, they were phenomenal tree guys, great climbers, super smart tree guys. They were just that good, and learned a ton from them. And but Gus was Gus Jardell, Andrew Jardell was working the comp. He was helping with the comp. So we went, and that was my first comp. And I think it might have been earlier than that.
Sometimes it's hard to get the timelines down.
Yeah. So in that mid, I'm just going to call it mid 90s.
I got you.
So,
no,
but cool. I went to Drew at 96. Yeah. So it had to be sometime 93, 94, 95, somewhere in there.
Yep.
So, and I competed while I was at Drew, but I had competed before that. So it must have been. So yeah, Gus was my intro into competition climbing. So thank you, Gus. So,
yeah, there's something I want to circle back to because I think it's important. And these are the topics, excuse me, the topics that I like to dig into here is just to go a little deeper on ideas and life. So you said something about ego a minute ago.
Sure.
So I guess and I have this thing, I call it Trigo, right? It's like a tree man's ego.
It's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question is, I think sometimes we have to, Brick and I have had this conversation where we kind of have to tap that once in a while. So from your purview, having dealt with your own ego, which we all do, but also moving in the circles that you've moved in over the years, working with other companies, what are some of the positive and negative aspects you think of a person's ego? Like what can help you, like tapping your ego, as it were, and like where do you think it might hurt somebody?
Oh, brother. Well, certainly, I think ego can most certainly help you. It can be beneficial for sure, and push you through some stuff that I don't know, maybe perceived a little over your head, or something like challenge you. You know, for sure, your ego can cause you to challenge yourself.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. No. I think you're all right.
But ego can also get you in trouble too, because you think you're better than you actually are. Or go do something get away with stuff, and I think push yourself a little too far.
Yeah.
You certainly get you in big trouble. Yeah. Big trouble. Bad stuff happening. So, I'm not afraid of a little ego.
Yeah,
ego's a good thing.
Yeah. No, I agree. I know. I listen to Jocko sometimes, and he says, like it's necessary.
Yeah.
We also have to. What's cool is having that ability to kind of recognize.
Yeah, if I don't care how good if you don't know you're good, like you're never gonna get anything accomplished.
Right. Right.
So
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with it.
No, I agree.
So
I'm gonna tap you for that. Since we're sitting here and we're having a conversation, it'll be a normal outreach. What do you think in terms of positives, negatives?
Yeah. So,
how does it motivate, drive?
There's like two, right? When you asked the question, my mind went to two different spaces, and the first space is more of an individual experience with it, and I know this because this is how I operated and still operate. Is the ridgeline, which I always bring up about the ridgeline.
Yep.
And as you know, on top of the mountain, you're walking a ridgeline. Both sides is your ego and no ego, and there's a quote that recently came to mind a lot, and I love it. Is that and I'm butchering it, but the basic idea is that you can only show true kindness based on how violent you can be. But so basically it's saying like whatever's necessary to let's use your family for example. Whatever's necessary to protect your family, you're going to do it.
Sure.
Therefore, you can show true kindness. That so that's where the ego needs to come into place. It's like, hey, when it's time, it's your life.
Sure.
You can't be like, no, that's not how it works. Yeah. You know. So that's the individual part where it's like it's not like, and you said it perfectly in how you encapsulated the whole thing.
Doubt that. Said I doubt that.
So. It's perfect because it is needed, and then you also need to be aware of it at the same time.
Yeah.
So this way you don't get yourself in trouble, but you know how to thrive at the same time.
You got to know when to check that ego.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, and that's perfect. You said that. That's the other half of it. Mm-hmm. The other half is now you got to be in the world or the tree crew with other egos. Mm-hmm. And whether the up and coming people that have been in the industry, there's that whole challenge and dance that we have at the same time. So that's where my mind went, was like there's two aspects to it.
Right.
And what kind of, if you have something to add, that's fine. But to kind of lead to a question, in your experience when working with people, how you learn to dance with that, other egos, as well as your own.
I don't know. That's a tough one. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of us are like-minded anyway. So I think that helps. If you can turn it into a competition, in a good way, healthy. You know what I mean? Your egos, healthy ego checking each other, and pushing each other a little bit,
Yep.
I can do that. I don't know why you can't do that. You know what I mean? Like I can do that. And then you go, you know what I mean? You learn stuff from it.
Yeah.
So it's, I think it's healthy.
Yeah.
I really do.
I wonder, because as you're saying this, I'm thinking, all right, well, where does humility fit in? And so to recap something you said that I think is important is, and I did some acting classes for a while back in the day, And I remember them talking about range, like being able to push the opposites. So when I hear you talk about how much violence a man is capable of, yet can restrain it, is to the depth of the love and care he shows for those that are in his care, right? So I think of like a tender warrior, like I can wield that axe, and if you come through my door, it's going in your neck.
Yeah.
Okay. But I can also see a little kitten in here whining, and it pulls at my heartstrings.
Yeah.
And
there is actually
yes,
a kitchen.
100%.
There is actually one. Yeah. There is an axe in the kitchen. I hope nobody comes through that door.
And just, there is a kitten in here.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly. Yeah. So these are all true things. But I like the fact that I have the ability for both.
Yeah.
And I like to think that I want to surround myself with folks that have that capacity, because, passivity, or I don't know if you want to call it weakness or whatever, is not attractive to me.
No.
But I'll also say this, and maybe I'm curious if you guys agree. I guess more I'll phrase it as a question: is humility the ability to control the ego? In other words, I say to my guys sometimes, like my kid's wired a little bit like me. It's like looking at myself 40 years ago. It's like, I can handle that. And I'm like, and I've done this with a lot of young climbers. They don't understand that I'm scheduling work and I'm managing their risk by what I'm putting on the docket. Like there are certain things with my old crew. I would have Derek Martin come in, and I had Derek jobs.
Right.
I would have never put those on for my guys because I know Derek can handle it. He's a professional. So I have this saying I've been saying for a long time. I say, be humble or get humbled. And that goes with tree and life.
Sure.
So do you think would you say that humility is the ability to control the ego, or is humility something else? I don't know what you guys think about that. Like, because we've all
Here's one thing I do know. Brick, you completely butchered that quote. You did. There's no questioning that.
I did. I admit it. And then that's why I'm here with Paul.
Did you bruise your ego?
Bro, I try. It's in here. I just can't articulate it very well.
Oh, welcome to my world, buddy. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. All right.
Yeah.
Where we go from here? What do you got?
So I'll tell you what. Do you want to try to answer his question? Like the humility, do you think that plays into is that a separate thing?
And I can maybe give an example. Okay, we've all seen the guy typically who has an arrogance about him, and they just rub us the wrong way. There's something about them. There's no humility. So what is humility? And there's a difference between confidence and arrogance, right? So like I can be confident in my abilities without being a prick about it. Pardon my French.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying. So I'm just curious what you guys think. Like, what is humility? And
if it's cool with you, I'd like you to answer that, and then I have a way of kind of answering it and then bringing it back to you with something else. So,
you guys do realize I'm not a deep thinker, right? You realize that, right?
Just so you know, I know.
But humility is very important. You got to know when to pull it back. You got to know, I've been humbled. You learn a lot from being humbled. No doubt, for sure,
100%.
If you're smart, you learn a lot from being humbled, right? If you're not, then you're just going to continue to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
So, so I know, and I would say I know you well enough to make the assessment that while you say you're not a deep thinker, you definitely operate with integrity and character that is unmistakable to somebody who's a deep thinker.
Okay.
Now, and I'll give you a perfect example, and this is what I want to bring up.
Is this the story?
Yes,
I'll
this
just
is the story.
Back. So I'll sit back and
I literally just just got off the phone. I just drove down here, stopped at the Wawa, grab a cup of coffee, call my wife, just check in, everything's cool. And she had asked who's gonna be the guest for today, and I told her, and I was like, remember the story? And of course, most people don't remember things that are sentimental or important to you as much as you would like them to. So, but anyway, she forgot, and I explained it to her, and she was like, "Oh, that's such a great story." I'm like, "I agree."
Right.
So The story, and I'll tell the story, and then we'll dive into it. But the story is 2011, which is my second year competing. We were in the same group.
Right.
We compete
in Jersey.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah,
I had come over to the Jersey comp just to take some of your prizes back to my house. and I did.
There's that humility.
And I did.
I was going to say,
that's awesome.
I got beat by Mark. I beat everybody else that year. And I'll lose to Mark. It's okay.
Exactly. And I would say, I think it's fair to say you definitely came, as the Pendel, New Jersey chapter that I've learned, there's a brotherhood in there, and the whole thing is, yes, you are coming to take prizes.
Yes.
We understand that, and we do the same, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, so we compete in the same group. I'm in my own, infancy as a competition climber, unaware of who's who, what to do, and all that, the whole 9 yards. But come to 2015, I get the neck injury doing CrossFit. Have a existential crisis moment to what am I doing? What do I want? The whole 9 yards, write down everything. And one of those things was to really dive into the competition scene for the next 10 years. Read the rule book, train for it, become a better person, the whole 9 yards. So 2015, 2016, I do that. I go to Pendel in 2016. There's the 5 events, and one of them is the Blaze Speed Climb event. And since I'm kind of new, I'm still trying to tell all the judges I'm taking my implant off. I cannot hear. I read the rule book. I understand how this works. Basically saying, trust me, just let me run the thing. And then if you're not happy with something, I'll learn from it. That's kind of how I have operated and still do. So go to the Blaze Speed Climb event. All the judges tell them the same thing. And then one particular person who I assume to be the head judge, and I'm reading his lips at this point, and he's like, well, you can't climb the tree then. And I'm like, now mind you, my whole life, which we dove into, other times, but my whole life is anytime I don't have my hearing aid or implant on and I'm faced with that, it's panic mode.
Right.
It's immediate. It's like I'm that little kid again that can't play sports, can't be part of something. And it's just terrible. It's a terrible experience in that moment. So I need you to understand this now, since we never had this conversation before.
Okay.
So you need to understand that's where I'm at. And then mentally, I'm mentally like broken down, like, no, not again. Like I just, like I can do this, So he's doing his thing. I'm like, hey man, I'm just climbing a tree. There's nothing to it. And I don't know how you got involved, and maybe you can dive in, but next to that was the footlocking event, and you were running things over there. And from what I remember, you came over pretty much kind of saying like, what's going on? The guy said something, and for me, I just remember you being like, on my name, which we talk about, on my name, he's climbing that tree, you're letting him climb.
Yeah.
And luckily I was able to beat Jake Riggs, and yes, I'm saying Jake Riggs to make sure everybody hears that. In Blaze Speed Climbing, got pushed in that year.
Yeah, so, he was being a hard ass about it. I don't really know what his problem was. But I distinctly remember that. I think I was running scores or something and like walked past the situation as it was developing, and he wasn't going to let him climb. But there was he had no grounds. No. There was no justification for, he was just looking at a rule book going, this says this. I'm like, dude, get out of here. Yeah, just forget it.
So, and all you say, but just so, and essentially on the podcast, I'm telling you, thank you for that, number one.
Yeah.
But there you go. Appreciate it. And thank you for that, number one. But that, when you said I'm not a deep thinker, that's fine. You have character. Okay. That right there is, since that moment, I was like, whatever that dude needs, whatever he's going through, I got him.
Thanks.
Because
cheers.
Cheers to you too. People don't do that if they're not willing to build on their character, build on integrity, whether it's from, your dad, your mentors, or whatever. And I feel like that's so important. And that's why I hold you in a high regard.
Thank you.
You're
awesome.
Welcome.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've never had an experience like that with Mike. Usually he's busting my stones about something.
It's true.
But I'll say this and it's funny, and neither one of us are really like smoke blowers. I'm not going to just tell you this to make you feel good, because
just don't even tell me.
But I am curious. It is kind of cool because it kind of gets into what makes people tick. Like I've always felt like you're super direct. I never have to guess how you feel or think.
Right.
And to be honest with you, like I much prefer that. I'd rather just be dealt with head on.
Yeah, most people do. Yeah, for sure. And if they don't, too bad.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to get it one way or another.
You're authentic. So I guess, just a simple question is like, where does that come from? Is that how you were raised? Is it your pop? Is it mentors? Is it just like, what's...
I don't know.
Just
Glenn Riggs.
Oh, dude. I love it.
There's another name that needs to come on here.
Yeah.
Right?
I understand.
Sure. Yeah.
I do.
100% we do.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about a mentor. He's number 2 on that list.
Yeah. Dude, it's crazy. I remember two guys that I met that Mark introduced me to, where I was like, I'm like, who is this person?
Yeah.
Like it took me probably 3 times, and I was like, oh, actually, this guy's cool.
Oh no,
like,
he's 1997-ish, whatever, Pendel Expo. Now at this point, so we had gone through that second run with Kidder and in the Jardells, and we were starting to deep dive into the rigging and the good climbing stuff, and like really starting to be good tree guys.
Yeah.
And learning a bunch from the Cheryl catalog, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And just things like that, it was just that era, right? So now we're 96, 97, somewhere in there, and I go to Pendel Shade Tree Symposium, and I go sit in this talk with these 2 knuckleheads, right? And, they're talking, and they're rude, and they're showing videos, and then I'm like, these guys are my heroes. These guys are my heroes. These guys are doing what I thought I was doing. You know what I mean? They're like next level in this stuff.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And you got half the crowd is like, you guys are nuts, more than half the crowd. There's only a handful of guys that are buying into what they were selling, but they were,
what were you seeing? What
rigging videos?
Like big stuff?
Oh my God. Yeah. These guys are doing whole trees. These were early inception of using the boat winch stuff, for lifting and lowering and all that thing.
Now, was this rigs?
Yeah, it was Riggs and Pete Thomas. Glenn Riggs and Pete Thomas.
Pete Thomas, that name rings a bell.
Yeah, so I see these 2 guys. I'm like, I need to hang out with those guys. And I did, We ended up playing air hockey till like 4 o'clock in the morning or something and drinking a bunch of beers. It was but like these guys were for sure my mentors. And these guys were innovators. And like there's still stuff that's being taught today that was all Glenn and Pete.
Wow.
All Glenn and Pete. Those guys were, somebody should write a book about those guys.
No,
I
agree.
Boxes and boxes of video. These guys were videoing shit like long before, these guys were giant VCR camera guys.
That's cool.
You know what I mean? These guys got videos. And if I understand correctly, Jake told me that Glenn had a lot of those videos sent out to have digitized. So I'm telling you, those guys got some shit.
Boy, that would be neat to like sit down and like.
So it's pretty exciting. So so meeting Glenn and everything else, and did a couple years over there at Giroux, did some good stuff.
Yeah.
Good rigging and good climbing and some competing and all good times and stuff, and then left Giroux in 99 to subcontract. So that's where Glenn came in. So Glenn tapped me on the shoulder, got me in the sub world, and just steered and influenced the next 5, 6, 7 years of my life. So yeah,
and
awesome.
then you pivoted. Now you're doing your own thing. Are you
subcontract?
So you still are subbing out?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I subbed yesterday. So yeah, I still do a little bit of it, but so this is 99 in the 2000. I mean, from 99 to 2009, that's all I did was sub.
Okay.
So, and then went back to Giroux for a couple of years.
Yep.
And then went back subbing again. So, and then the John Riggs, the next Riggs incarnation, there's another mentor in there we can get to, but John Riggs was number 4. So John Riggs was number 4 because he was
the brothers.
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
Yeah. All right.
So another Riggs family, a tree family, but John Riggs is a captain in the Philadelphia Fire Department now, or lieutenant or something.
Okay.
I don't know. He's getting up there. He's doing great things over there.
Yep.
But he did tree work on the side, had his fathers, because they're, Jake's 3rd generation. So So the tree truck that Glenn and John's father had, John was using, and John was not having time. He's doing great things in the fire department, didn't have time for Truger anymore. So word on the street was he was getting rid of his truck and chipper. So I gave him a call, made him an offer. I didn't really want it, and I gave him way less than what it was worth, but he's like, come get it, Nice. So now John Riggs influenced the next bunch of years of my life.
That's cool.
So the Riggs family, I owe a giant debt to the entire Riggs family. So
it's pretty cool. It's cool to get that insight, knowing Jake and, like I said, meeting Glenn and just not understanding Glenn probably for the first 2 years I met him.
Yeah. I've known Glenn for more than 20 years now, and I still don't understand him half the time. So.
Nice. I love it.
It's okay.
That's awesome.
I love it.
No, great. Just phenomenal human beings, and very much in my world, my purview, he is the godfather, of tree work for me.
That's awesome.
In my world. Yeah. So Glenn says, and keep tapping on that table. Glenn asks you to do something. Yeah. You just do it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And whatever it is. You don't question him. You don't anything. He asked Tucker to do something, and Tucker's like, I was like, let me tell you something, brother. Glenn asks you to do something, you just do it. You just go and do it. You go look at it. You go do it. I don't care if it's shoveling shit or whatever it is. If Glenn asks you to do something, you just go do it.
That's cool.
No questions asked.
I like that.
So even if it is burying a body, whatever, it's fine.
I love it, dude.
Do anything for that guy. I'll do anything for that family.
That's cool.
And I'm one of them too.
Yeah.
Just so, and mainly, which is,
you're not a Riggs. You don't look anything like a Riggs.
He's so quick.
One family.
He's so quick.
This is great.
No, it is true.
Oh, you're one of them.
What I meant is I'm a
disciple.
Fan. I'm a fan of the family. Yes. So thank you for correcting me. But short clip is Jake Riggs. Even though he's younger than me, he's actually my mentor.
Yeah, that's comp stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure,
exactly, absolutely. But he's very much like his dad.
Yes,
as far as direct, and I need that because I don't have time for sugarcoating. And his dad also took me in as well, as far as being like, yo, like kind of what you said, do this. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
And then I've learned. It's almost like, this is how I visualize. It's like the sun. Like you look at it, you're gonna get blinded by it. Like that's him. Like the way he talks to you, it's like, and you walk away, and it sit with it. It's like, there's something in there.
Yep.
Direct. I love that you just shared that whole story because I did not know that about Glenn.
Yeah.
I've heard, but not really.
Man, Glenn and Pete Thomas, they set the world on fire. I'm telling you, you go back early Tree Buzz stuff, and even before that, whatever, there was another. Glenn was just blowing that place up.
That's awesome. Now Pete Thomas, I believe I've heard Derek say that. I think
Pete
Derek help.
Yeah,
he subs for Pete now sometimes.
Yeah.
And he's always he comes with stories, and I'm like, this guy sounds awesome. Like
I don't know how he would do on a podcast, but now, I'm telling you, me and Amy, we love getting together with Pete. Like now, go to a wedding or whatever.
Like
Pete,
is he my age? Like is he older than me?
He's probably maybe a tick or two under you.
Okay.
So he's probably in around Glenn's age, older than me, younger than you, somewhere in there. I don't know.
Right
I'm 53, so
somewhere in there. Yeah, I got you.
So probably be in the same age bracket.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that guy's a hoot. That guy's funny. Some of the stories he tells. He's just, my wife adores him. Adores him.
That's awesome.
So
cool.
He's just
there's something about this region, and I know because I started over here, and I did a year at Bartlett, and when I went over there, it was like bigger trees, and I was like, this is where the big boys play. Like it was.
Bartlett, like Joe Bones, those guys, they brought in Glenn and Pete to deal with the shit.
Okay, well that makes sense now and you talk about ego, because I remember I'm over here working for like a local tree company in Haddonfield, and there's big old trees. It's an old town.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm a little bit full of myself. I'm running a crew. I'm in my early 20s, and I'm and it's big fish, small pond.
Yeah.
I go over to Bartlett, and there's a barn full of guys over there. There's
hammers.
Yeah, dude. There's 9 climbers over there, and like 8.5 of them are and I'm
Yeah.
But I got humbled, and I thought, okay. And it was good for me because it helped me fit in in a more appropriate place. But then I opened myself up and learned a lot. But that side of the river, you know, I mean, that Bartlett office out on City Line Avenue was been there a long time. Yeah. You know, and that was back when Thigpen was there and stuff. We crossed paths.
Just worked with him yesterday.
But didn't know each other kind of thing.
Just worked with him yesterday.
That's cool. Yeah.
Great climbing dough, Robbie.
Oh, yeah. So we had an incident. You know, it's interesting because you see things come across the internet, whether it be on the socials or in conversations we have, or we do our safety updates each year with Dr. Ball. Just sat in on Tim Walsh's talk at Expo, which was second level. They're really starting to take a really good look at data. But when that hits a circle that's really close to you, like several years back, we had Cameron Lyon. I don't know if you know, he had Lyon and Sun Tree, just an up and coming guy, just a good person, family man, you know, fell.
Yeah.
You know,
that was as an outsider, that was an example of trying to do too much, having your hands in everything. Yeah. That's why for me is ego, and it hurts my ego, and I'll tell you why. You know, those certainly those bigger jobs, there's a lot going on. Bringing the big gun, bringing Jake, bringing Rob, bringing Derek. Let somebody else do that heavy lifting so I can keep my focus over here and deal with what needs to deal with, and to just take that out of it. And I always, and that's an example of what, you know, people ask and everything else. And like, that's why I do that. I think, you know, you can get too caught up and too focused on all the wrong things at the wrong time.
Yeah.
So,
no.
And I always saw that as an example. So
no,
I don't know how true that. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah,
you know, but there was a misstep, and I feel like, you know, there's this guy's trying to do. He's doing everything.
Yeah,
you know, and I feel like that was a contributing factor, and I don't know that as a fact, but I'm using that lesson for myself.
Yeah.
You know, so
no, you're actually right, and I remember doing a tree with Cam, and you know.
Phone in the pocket.
It was a lot
in the tree and everything else. Tucker did that to me one day. I was throwing shit at him.
Yeah.
Keep that on the ground.
Yeah.
I just there's a time and place for that, and it's not when you're in the middle of some shitty situation.
No, and I think I kind of want to double down as an owner, operator, someone who does still climb, and you know, I possess still the capability to do, but we had a lightning struck tree years ago, and I brought Pete in and I brought Jake in.
Yeah.
And you know what I did? I drove trucks that day.
Yeah.
I coordinated. Absolutely. I stepped back and I watched these guys operate, and it was a beautiful dance, and I didn't touch it.
Yeah. So my ego will only allow me to use certain individuals, right? You know, but the part that bruises my ego on that real quick was when they go and they do cool work, which I expected them, you know, I mean, it's just, I don't bring them in the prune dogwoods, right? Yep. I bring them in to do cool stuff. Of course. And they get done the job, and the customer goes out and like gives them all the praise. Yeah. And I'm sitting back here going, I could have done that. I should have been the one doing that. You know, I'm just I'm helping him out. You know what I mean? Like,
I brought him in.
Yeah.
I brought him in.
You know what I mean? That's my tree.
Yeah.
So but it hurts it's still to this day, bringing subs in hurts my ego a little bit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Especially on something like that. If it's a job where there's multiple, I just need a couple climbers, run up and down trees. That's just a fun, magic, perfect day. Yeah. Right. But when I have to bring somebody in to handle a job, it's not because I can't handle it. It's just because I would rather focus my energy somewhere else. It still bruises my ego, for sure. So, but hopefully, I feel like it's still it's a great idea. It's a good decision.
It's a great idea, and actually, I love that you're willing to talk about the ego portion of it.
Yeah,
and I think for me, what I've done is I've tried to just make a paradigm shift in my mind so that I don't have to deal with I'm contending with my ego.
Right.
If I'm being honest, I'm contending with it.
Right.
But I'll say things to myself in my internal dialogue like, you've done plenty of these. You don't have to prove anything. These guys are your friends. Let them do. They're experts. They're professionals. My new thing that I'm getting excited or getting off on is being able to coordinate with my network.
Right.
That I have a guy like Pete. Yeah. That I have a guy like Jake. I brought Rob in, Constantino, to run the ground, to land the picks, to
Yeah.
We put like Rick came in with his grapple, like
super crew.
And
I love those super crew days, boy.
I got the cool pictures, and I'm just like, so like I was like, wow, that was cool being able to assemble the Avengers team.
Sure.
Or whatever,
yeah. They're great, magical, right?
Yes, for
Perfect
sure.
days. I love those days. You get a great team together. You know what I mean? It's
exciting,
and a great team of guys that don't work together on the regular.
Correct.
Right? We don't work together on the regular, yet we can all show up at a job site like smooth as butter, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So just from a working person standpoint, you know, we just unpacked a little bit about a couple fatalities that we know about. One was years ago with Cameron, and two were more recently. I mean, how do we do better? Like, how do we, what do you see? What do you think? What do you feel? Like, how do we, you know, we're getting these reports still and the statistics. Like, how do we just do better?
Jesse that worked with us, he just died. He just died, struck by, fell in dead ash trees, and took a piece broke out of the top and hit him in the face. A whole bunch of details that surround that, you know, but and it was horrible, all the things, you know, but I'm not going to say I slept good, but I slept better at night knowing that day that we did everything right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We did everything right. We had, and especially this is, and I think I hammered this home more because there was a new guy there. There was a new guy there, and there was another guy there that just wasn't the brightest bulb in the shed, and always had to keep an eye on him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So with the procedures, you know, Jesse's cutting, we had a felling plan. We had, you know, we talked about his escape route and what was going to happen. And then, you know, what their role as the guys on the line were and everything. So we game planned this whole thing for way longer than we needed to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And more so because there was some new people involved. Right.
Yep.
So just making sure everybody's on the same page and everything's good to go. Right. So so like I said, I slept better knowing that we did it right. We did what we were supposed to do.
Yep.
We still had a fatality.
Wow.
Right. You know, because there's one factor in there that we couldn't control.
Mm-hmm.
That was Jesse. Right. Jesse is his own person. Jesse makes his own decisions. Jesse has a mind of his own, and we can't control that.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. So he has to make the decision. So we make a plan of doing this, and we're going to do this, and everybody's going to be safe. And then, you know, we're going to wrap this job up and get out of here. But Jesse has to control some of that. And there was a part of that Jesse didn't control. It was, and this is a direct quote from the OSHA investigator, was the only person that could have changed the outcome of that day was Jesse.
Wow.
You know, so even after the investigation and everything, and I knew that in my heart, you know, that, you know, like we did it right, and we still ended up here.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you, Cameron?
Yeah.
Nobody had anything to do with that but Cameron.
No, that's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I didn't even...
Same kind of thing. So how do you, so now we're falling back to, this is not a tree crew problem. This is not a tree care problem. This is an individual problem. This is a problem with the individual, you know, not in every circumstance, you know what I mean? But here's two right off the bat that, like, again, the only people that could have changed the outcome of those days were those people. So, you know, that's but that's going to be a big part of your statistics is those incidents. So, this comes into, focus and being where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there in your head. Yeah. And, you know, I don't know, that starts with the talks in the morning and all those, and they don't always work because Jesse and I talked that morning. Jesse came in a way we had some trucks switching around, and so we had to move some gear around and stuff, and we were moving, and I could see we were just getting frustrated. Like, just stop. Just, well, I don't know what you're doing, but just stop. Yeah. Just stop what you're doing. What's going on? Blah blah blah. This, that, and the other thing. I'm like, all right, cool. Just take it down a notch. Breathe. Here's what we're gonna do. Good for you. This is how we're gonna do it, and we'll go on. So he did. He settled in. Went, and then we had a 10-minute conversation about the new guy, and everything seemed to be good. And I get back to, I went and did what I had to do. This was, Tucker's job, whatever. I was just running some trucks for him that day. I had to drop my Freightliner off the shop and brought a truck over. And I remember driving over going, I want to see how Jesse is when we get there. I want to have just a quick powwow with him. And I did. I got there. He was grinding a stump, doing whatever he was doing, and I noticed he was, a little while later, he was moving some stuff around in the mini. I could see him getting frustrated again. So he was frustrated again. I don't know if he was just legitimately frustrated with this piece and we couldn't get out of the woods, or if this was a, continuation from the morning. Yeah. So, So that's where we had. I got you. So again, this comes back to watching your people, watching their attitude, and knowing the people that you work with, and being able to recognize when things ain't right. And I truly believe that was the end result of just having a shitty day prior.
Wow.
So wow. And just not being 100% present.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to jump in there because
I wasn't letting you. I can see you over there, and I'm like, I haven't had this concise a thought in a long time. Don't fuck me up now.
No. And I apologize if I was trying to jump into it.
No. That's good.
But and this is something that I've always had to make a part of my plan, because when I take my implant off, I'm putting everybody I work with in a position. So
okay.
All right. So my mindset has always been like, and it's cheesy, don't bring home to work to home, the whole thing.
It's real.
It's real. Oh yeah. But it's just a cliche thing to say. But because of me being at a disadvantage and not wanting to put people at a disadvantage as well, I've always had that like ability, let's say, to be able to literally shut it off on whatever the situation calls for, and be so dialed into what I'm doing, because I know I have to work 3 times as harder as everybody else, not the physical part, but just to make sure that I can somehow stay in touch with somebody somewhere. So
right.
If you're in the tree, I need to know, like, I don't hear anything. I can't, so I need to know, like, all right, you have a spotlight under you. I know I can't go in that zone. The plan was you're felling trees. I'm thinking about that 20 times over, even before the thing happens. So over the years, I've heard about all these fatalities and issues, and that's always something that comes to mind. Is like, you just said it perfectly. Even the OSHA people back it up, that the variables in there were not the problem. The individual was the variable you can't control.
Right.
And it sucks to hear that, because it's like, no, I don't want to hear that. Like, I want them back. Like, I don't want to deal with this shit. Like, that's not acceptable in a way. So I get that. So like, using Jesse or anybody using it, like, I've always tried to figure out, how do I get them? And it sounds cocky, but like, they adopt a mindset that I have, like, nothing is more important than the thing that you're doing. And you kind of can't teach that. You can't, like, even if you did talk to Jesse, you can't, it won't switch it on and off for him.
Right.
And whoever else we're talking about. And that's something that, like, that's kind of like, hey, when you go home tonight, you need to, Anthony Robbins, something, I don't know what it is, but you need to listen to this person so they can teach you how to literally switch into what needs to be the thing that you're doing, so that nothing else is a part of that process. And I don't know how to do that. I don't know. But that's something that comes to my mind a lot as a deaf person that's always trying to work hard, and it's just easy for me to do it because I have to do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like there is no, I'm just not like, it's like, bro, like, no, like I have to be here because I can't put you at jeopardy, Right. Like me, whatever. Honestly, I've always been like, yeah, whatever, I'll figure it out. But you get hurt or you get hurt, it makes me lose sleep.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just the idea of that, I just, so I don't know how to, or I articulate it, but I don't know how to get a young kid to buy into that. Right. I'm dealing with Desmond, and Desmond's a great guy, great energy, wants it, and he still has that. I had the kid summer help, Max, he still has it, and I'm like, dude.
Has what? Like the distractibility? The unfocused
so
being present?
I mean, essentially that is what it's called, but we got to come up with a new word that people will know exactly what that is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, distraction, whatever, that's normal. But that day, there's something that the individual
is off.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
there's something that Mike touched on that I think is vital that I think so. These are little strategies that don't show up in safety books because he said, watch your people. Now, we do the brief. First of all, what I hear when I hear Mike unpack that is control the controllables, right? Check the boxes, have the safety plan, have the meeting, excuse me, have the PPE in place, have the escape route planned, have the escape route clear. Like, you control the controllables. If that just leaves us with the individual, then there needs to be, and I love what you did in the morning I love the fact you told him to breathe, take a step back. I think as leaders, if someone out there listening is leading men and women out on the job site, and you have that ability to know what normal is for them, what is their baseline, and you see something different, or maybe that's incorporated. Hey, power check. How's everybody feeling this morning? Are you carrying some crap? And don't give me the I'm fine. If there's a distraction, if there's something in your life, let's get it out now. We don't want it to interfere with the job today. It's a high risk situation. Let's walk through this. One thing that I did is I had a thing on Mondays. Anytime to me I see a transition happen. Friday, I've got the weekend on my mind. I'm meeting my in-laws. I'm having dinner. I can't wait to get done. The day Cam was Halloween. Cam had 4 kids. Maybe, it's like, hey, I'm trying to get home and get trick-or-treating with the kids. A simple distraction.
Yeah.
A worthy distraction as a parent, right? But a distraction nonetheless. So my guys would come in on Mondays, and I used to be an out the gate dude. Like, I'm wired a lot like you. It's just like, I have a ticket. I want to bear down. I'm not here to play tiddlywinks or whatever. Yeah. I want to put brush on the ground. I want to get stuff done. And I like it. I like doing it. And I'd be looking at my watch, and I realized me driving the crew out the doors some mornings may not put everybody in the greatest mood. So Mondays, I would give them grace. I'd say, hey, guys, good morning. They'd be coming in, park, and I'd say, have your conversations, talk with each other, work it out, do what you got to do. Let's get wheels up when we can, but go ahead and take that minute. We're transitioning from the weekend. I need you guys with clear heads.
Right.
So that strategically was kind of a thing for me that I started to incorporate into my Mondays. Now, whether it's that or
do you still do that today?
Well, yeah, they can. Yes.
Okay.
Meaning,
because I was like, once they hear this, they're going to be like, "Yo, bro, why are you pushing us out the door on Mondays?"
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Hey. I've completely changed my I've completely changed my outlook. Yeah,
right.
I had to have a paradigm shift in my own old school hammerhead mentality. I had to adopt a little flexibility because two things I think happen. One, it's safety, pure and simple, but also it would allow them conversations to bond them.
Yo.
So when they Ben's gonna kick my butt.
Yeah.
It would unite them and create that sense of team and allow them, because they wouldn't all hang out on the weekends, but they'd come in with stories. They'd share.
Oh yeah.
And older guys with the phones we weren't born and raised with them.
No.
So I don't understand. Like, I'm here in front of you. It's like, yo, man.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, we're out to dinner. We're having a conversation. I don't need you shoving your phone in my face. But this is how they interact. Look what I did. And just try to create that space. But I mean, I don't know what you guys think about giving that space. I think it's great.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a perfect template for everybody. But the only problem I have with that is you're not going to always pick up. There's certain people that are really good at hiding something. So what happens then? So maybe you have a suggestion box that's private in the office, and like I don't know, whatever. But my point is, you're not always. It's just not. No. None of us are telepathic, and
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you can't come up with an answer. I'm going to tell you that we're not going to come up with an answer today. I'm going to say that sometimes it's human nature, man.
It is.
Sometimes it's just human nature. There's no way around getting inside somebody's head. That's just my opinion. You nailed it. It's human nature.
Yeah, I think that's it. Goes back to control the controllable, right?
Yeah.
If you see something, you can say something. If someone's hiding, and they're nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Hey man, really tell me what's going on.
Because at the end of the day, find me somebody that doesn't have something.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Right. Find me somebody that doesn't have something. It's everybody's got their thing. Everybody's got issues. How you deal with those issues is a good thing. Some people can put blinders on and get through the day and deal with it later. I feel like I kind of have, that works in my favor a lot, even though I have a perfect life and have zero issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got it good. I don't have a lot of complaints, but
listen, I think it's fair to say you just nailed it perfectly. It's human nature, and you can't get in everybody's mind. If we could, then we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah, if you see it, hammer down, get in there. No. But even then, the thing is, I don't know what happened that day prior.
Sure.
I don't know what the extent of this problem was.
Of course.
If there was actually a problem, I don't know. Maybe you just woke up in a shitty mood and you was blaming something else. I don't know, but so. You don't know. You could kind of surface wash this thing, but it's still gnawing on them in the back of the head. You know what I mean? So it's hard to.
Hey, listen, it could be lack of sleep. It could be lack of sleep.
Oh my God!
I got guys. I got a baby at home. Well, that's a game changer. I mean, if you're not used to that, and suddenly,
not for me because I have a phenomenal wife.
Right.
So
yeah. No, you're blessed.
Yeah,
you are. You're blessed for sure.
I can't even begin to.
Yeah. But
count my blessings.
I think,
but literally, she did everything. And her was, one of us needs to be well rested. Oh, see, she took the bullet.
You took the bullet.
Awesome.
Exactly.
She took the bullet. Yeah. Seriously.
And that's real.
She still takes it today.
Yeah.
So
right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right now.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's real life stuff for every working class person. Right?
Yeah.
I like, there's a guy I follow, he calls the blue collar, the muscular class, which I kind of, that resonates with me. Like those of us that like work with our bodies and our minds. I like it maybe because it touches my ego.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm part of the muscular class, but
I won't put too many professions above tree guys as far as just natural strength for anybody that's been doing it for more than a year or two. It's just a different kind of.
It is. It resonates.
Different class.
Yeah,
I get it.
It's a different kind of strength. It really is. So
talking.
Right. It's CrossFit before it was CrossFit, right? Yes. Without the reps, anyway. So without the failure, time constraints, but
the structure.
I
get it.
So but you get used to it. Your body gets used to it, and you're still strong, but you can still get fat.
Yeah, well, sure. Yeah. Sure.
Why did you look at me when you said that?
I'm just.
Anyway,
listen, we will have to check each other.
I know.
That's all good.
Yeah.
I'm glad we were able to kind of dissect it a little bit, but it was a perfect segue. It was talking about your wife. We wanted to bring in the whole health aspect to it.
Yeah.
And, mental health, and I will go into the physical health.
Mm-hmm.
I know you have some questions. Anything in particular?
What was cool was that Mike actually mentioned, sort of in just a passing thought, was that, at some point you shift into, so, I mean, you can go one of two ways. You can tell me how that changed. Like, did you used to eat because I know, I happen to know Mike's wife.
I'm not a fast food guy. Yep. I'm not never really a soda drinker.
Yeah, good.
So I had that going for me, but already. I got a sweet tooth. I love me pizzas and cheesesteaks and, stuff like that. Yep. So, last night was pizza night. So we had pizza last night, but sometimes we dial it back. We don't get pizzas, she'll make something. It's traditional pizza night, but we'll keep it simple and light, if we can. For me, and it was actually a little more recent than anything, I like that second stint at Drew, once we got winding down towards the end, like was driving around in a truck and like, I just put on weight, put on weight. It affected everything. It affected my climbing. It affected everything. And now I didn't put effort into getting rid of that weight. So I just hung on to it for years up until, literally the last year.
Okay.
For me has been a little, the bigger mind shift. And and I said it to Amy because she harping on me, and I'm like, whatever,
I see it.
I work, I work as long as I'm working, everything's fine. And it's just not true. The older, as the aging arborist,
100%.
And anybody that's aging, whatever profession we're doing, just need to really start paying attention. So, and since that shift for me, mind is clear, climbing's better, work, just overall everything life
that's
is
awesome.
Better. So and no, I'm not talking drastic shifts, but just paying a little more attention to what you're eating. Eating natural stuff, not eating a bunch of junk, all this stuff that RFK's like trying to get out of the world, you can do that on your own.
Correct.
We don't need the government. We don't need the government to do that for us. They should, but we don't need them to do it for us. So
true.
You can do that all on your own.
Yep.
So, which is really where we did, and that's the way Amy has always been. I was a little more resistant because I grew up on cereal, and I got a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
I'll punish some ice cream. Punish ice cream.
There you go.
So.
Show no mercy.
I love it.
Yeah.
But I love it's like pure honesty. Like it's there. Kind of like the violence, kindness.
Yeah.
Kindness.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself. Take care of yourself. But violently go after that ice cream.
Yeah, but the biggest change that I noticed is when you stop eating shit, right? And you struggle through that little bit, and as long as you maintain consistency and you stay eating good and paying attention and everything else, when you do eat shit, you know it.
Yeah, buddy.
You know it. And you go, that was awesome on the way down, but now I'm going to go take a nap, and then I'm probably going to go shit myself. And, like it's, I'm not, but point is like now you go, oh, there's the difference there. Now I can, instead of it just being, this is how it is. Now you see, you kind of shifted everything. And now when you eat shit, you go, oh, right. This is why I stopped eating this stuff. Yeah. So, but so for me, my wife has just been a proponent for just clean eating for a long time. And she's not crazy. She's not a lunatic about it for sure. You know what I mean? So, my kids still eat cheese crackers from time to time.
Yep, right on.
Yeah. But
a little bit of balance.
Yeah.
But no, I see it. Like I said, and those listeners out there don't know, like we're friends, Yeah. So I followed your wife on social media, and I see like the health stuff come out and whatnot. Yeah. And that's why, and I'm, it's my wife's the same way. And you don't live with your spouse when they're that into it and not be affected by it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
And I love you talking about it because I think a lot of folks underestimate its value. And I think what happens is when you're young, you get away with it. The body can just boom and it recovers. And I would eat a whole medium pizza by myself, you know?
I not only could I outwork my diet, you know, I'd beat it to death. It was just a zero issue. Was not an issue. No. Nothing. I could eat whatever I wanted. Zero issue. Crushing metabolism and just go, you know. It just didn't matter. Smash whole pizzas, like whatever, you know. Go climb trees now, you know what I mean, for lunch. You know what I mean. So
I do. It's interesting when you're younger too. You don't notice the feeling of the food that you eat.
Yeah.
When you get older, you start noticing the feeling. Yeah.
Now I do 100%. 100%.
That's what I find interesting. It's like when I was young, I don't remember. I would eat, let's say, McDonald's or something. But if I go get some now, I'm like,
I did that.
Amazing.
I did that a couple years ago. Like, I'll take you to the last McDonald's I was ever at. And I was like, I'm just going to get a milkshake and fries. That's fair. I mean, who doesn't love a milkshake and fries, right?
Dunkin' in it.
Are you a dunker? Okay. People look at me like I'm weird when I do that.
I always say it's like, the salt and the sweet.
Yes. And the best way to describe it is the waffle ice cream on the boardwalk.
Yeah. There you go.
That's as close as I can get to it.
Okay. So I was like, here. So I just grabbed a couple little hamburgers and felt like trash. Absolute trash. Two, they're little shitty hamburgers. You know what I mean? That are borderline sliders to begin with. You know, fries and milkshake. That was like the rest of that ride home was garbage.
It's
absolute garbage.
It messes
putting
with
you to sleep.
Your mind too.
Yeah.
And a carb coma is a real thing.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, again, not fanatical. Just try to eat whole foods. Eat a lot of red meat, venison.
Yeah, buddy.
Venison. It's 99% of our meat diet is venison that I put in the freezer. So, which I'm a little late in the game on this year. But
I was going to ask you how the season went. If you were,
I haven't. I've sat twice.
I got you.
I haven't done anything. So, and we literally have 1 pound of sausage.
Oh, you better get out.
3 pounds of ground. And 3 pounds of scrapple. Right now, as I speak.
That's not enough for the winter. That's not enough.
That's not a problem. It's a problem.
It's
a problem. Amy's not happy with me right now.
I was gonna say the wife's like, "Yo, dude, you better get out there."
Yeah, there's been a lot going on. This year's been since August. It's been weird. You know, trying to find motivation to get out and do stuff and everything else. And the way my hobbies, interests, and mind just shifts on a dime to, you know, from one topic to the next. You know, it's you look at my YouTube feed and it's clear what I'm into right now. Gotcha. You know what I mean? So check that in 3 months and be like, wait a minute, where are you? Like, no, not anymore. We're over here now. Way over here. You know, totally left field. So
awesome.
But
cool. No, I always like to touch on the that part of it, the food and stuff for folks listening. I've just, and I mentioned it before with Desmond, like, you know, I see guys either not packing or, you know, they can order Uber Eats like right to the job site. You know, we didn't have that, you know.
Yeah. And then bitch, because I don't have enough money and come at you for a raise, right?
Right.
Yeah. Stop spending your money on stupid shit. How about that?
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
I've been packing lunch. I'll thank Drew for that. You know, there's like a lot of people I thank for specific things in my life and how I do things today. I owe to that guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
You know, and packing lunch is one of them. Yep. You know what I mean? Just bring your lunch. No, bring your lunch and don't stop at Wawa first thing in the morning. Yep. You know what I mean? And like don't leave here and go to Wawa. Yep. You know, that 5, 10, 15 minutes you burn over there gets tacked on at the end of the day.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like there's just weird things like that. Do all your fueling up, all that stuff at the end of the day. Don't wait till the morning to do it. You know, when the morning hits, you know, sit around, shoot shit for a minute, get in the truck and go.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about anything else. And you're not pressured to get out the door in the morning. So a lot of I wish I could list them all. A lot of takeaways you get from individuals.
I agree.
It's pretty amazing. They come up as they come up. You know,
Yep.
Can't sit here and regurgitate anything, but
no, I mean, when you're saying that, the first thing I'm thinking of is when I worked at Bartlett. So Bartlett put a sister office over here,
right,
in a town 20 minutes north, and I was the first foreman in that office. So they had a guy kind of running it, but they were making guys commute that were at the Bala office. Well, they hated that because they're used to being in Bala. So I saw the ad, blah, blah, blah. Well, I had a foreman for a while that they were helping train me in the Bartlett way kind of thing. And his name was Dan Flynn. I'll never forget. He's a bigger dude, super level-headed guy. And it was a half an hour. Hard hat comes off. Eat your lunch. Half hour's over. Back to work. But he was he was
old Ben over there ready to cut that hand off with this axe.
He was the guy. Those of you that can't see, Ben's our producer and super good at his job and just real particular about sound and color and all the things we don't understand. And
us doing this,
Mike's a drummer, and now I just want to do it because I want to harass Ben. It's like ting ting ting. He's like editing. These guys are driving me crazy. No, Dan Flynn was the guy that got me used to bringing my lunch, and you know how it is. There's unforeseen consequences or benefits. So now I'm bringing my lunch. Well, now I'm shopping. I'm a bachelor living in an apartment, and I'm spending way less money on food.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's a big one.
And taking way less time. My old job, we would pivot off the job, and you go get some sluggy meal, and just come back, and your energy's down, and you spend.
I don't eat like that anyway. We don't take lunches.
Yeah,
we don't take lunch. You get hungry, go grab something to eat. And for me personally, I'm either fasting and power eating everything on the ride home.
I love it.
Because I just get in and work and just never get to it, and then I'm just power eating everything on the way home. Or like, right now in my truck, there's a couple oranges and a meat steak. So just random stuff that I just pick out throughout the day. Keeps your energy levels consistent and all that stuff. Smaller meals over time instead of, you're not going to find me. You're not going to find me 12 o'clock, time to take lunch. No. And it's just not going to happen. And even if I come work for a company that does do that, like,
you're still not doing it.
I'm still not doing it. Yeah. So either I'm going to do something productive, or I'm going to continue to put brush on the ground. You guys got to take lunch. I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping. That's all.
There might be a pile here when you're done.
I was going to say, my buddy, he's passed away since, but he's always said, lunch is a figment of your imagination.
Yeah.
It's not real. You eat, like you said, when the time's right is when you eat. Like, it's just how it works.
Yeah. And we usually have enough guys, like, I'm just going to run and grab a quick drink and a bite and stuff, like, all right, go take care of your business. We're good. You find your moments.
Yes.
Yeah. You find your moments. You take them when you need them, not when you're forced to take them.
And then I would, for the listeners, I do want to add that for me, this is what I do. And I learned this from Jeff Amen, is I always have a jar of peanut butter, which I don't even like peanut butter, mind you. But I have that, and I always have the pouches of tuna as my backup. So I always bring food, and I'm always prepared. But if I need more, or if I can't get the food together, I always have that. It never goes bad, right?
Yeah, like I said, there's a bag in my truck. It just always has.
It's
food
like
in it.
something that you can fall back on.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
It's perfect. Yeah. Go ahead. What's up?
Switch to almond butter.
Switch to almond butter. Okay.
It's expensive, but it's better for you.
Okay. Fair enough.
Just a thought.
Yeah, no, but
for the purposes you're talking, see, this is where there's like. There's a little gray area for me because shitty peanut butter is
it's sugar,
whatever. You know what I mean?
But
you're hungry. I did a lot of rock climbing and stuff like that, and those like high calorie,
that's true,
dense stuff. Even if it's not great for you, you know what I mean, to get you through the day. You're not going to sustain yourself on. You don't want to sustain yourself on that. But I would no problems keeping a jar of Skippy under the seat of my truck and not think twice about it. Take your organic out. And even that stuff's a problem because it separates and everything else. Nah, you give me some good chemically induced.
He's right.
Some good chemically charged energy, and get you through the day.
Roll with it.
Yeah, seriously.
Do you remember Ted Schlesinger from Jersey? He was an older dude, tree tech. Yeah, sardines, man. Yeah, that was like his. He'd have a can like in his pocket. What are you doing? Ted's like sardines, but all that fat and oil and fish and just.
I can't touch them. I'd love to. It's good. That's historic. That's historic, like big wall rock climbing Yosemite stuff. That's some of the stuff that they would just pack to store and keep and canned and all that. So I could just never get. Just can't do it. My youngest.
Yeah. Oh, I'll eat the crap.
I'm like, oh my God, you guys are gross.
Oh yeah, I'll eat some sardines, anchovies. I mean, nasty. You know. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Right.
No sir.
Yeah.
No sir.
Cool. No, sir. All right. So just take a hard right turn here. Because we have an opportunity once a year to get together. Pete, I always say this, Nieves Sosa.
Yeah. Or as my cousin calls him, Pete needs a sofa.
I like. There you go. That's a good way to remember his name.
I like that.
Yeah. So my cousin.
How you doing, Mr. Needs a sofa?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because when I was doing this,
I can't even spell it. It's just Pete in my phone.
Yeah. Just Pete the Crane, man. Yeah. Pete Crane. I thought his last name was Crane for like 5 years. You know. But yeah, that reminds me when I was doing Tree ID, Ginkgo biloba, I always had like Rocky Balboa. It just, for whatever reason, that association just took my brain. Yeah, there. So, Pete, the Crane Man, every year runs Crane Safety Climber School, bring people in from all over the country. It's about 60 guys, instructors. I seem to remember you were in on sort of ground floor formation of that. So just walk us through like the genesis of it, what it means to you, of thing.
Pete had been, even when Pete was before Crane Man, when Pete was with Bauman, Pete and I had never worked together.
Okay.
I'd never done a pick with Pete prior to Crane School. We'd known each other for a couple years, just circles. Pete seems to think there was one job we worked together on. I don't remember it. Maybe I don't want to remember it. I don't know because it's Pete. But Pete had always talked about doing that, and then once he started Crane Man, now he's like really deep in it, and it was started as a community service project, really, for his clients to train up his client, the climbers that he's having to deal with on a daily basis to get to level them up to make Pete's job easier, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. To get these guys some training because they've never been exposed to it, and so you got Pete walking them through doing crane removals, pre-headsets, really pre-wide use of headsets, trying to tell guys how to hang straps and, strap it here, cut it there, doing all that stuff. So he, just networked and got a phenomenal group of guys together that volunteered their time to help and I'm not kidding, it was literally a community project, that they paid for. But that was the catalyst for it, So I think our first year we had 11 students.
Wow. And what was the first year? Do you remember when that was? Like 11?
Yeah, 2011.
Was it? Okay.
2010.
Okay. And who were the first set of instructors? It was like you?
Me, Roach, Frazier, Gareth, Pete. I'm going to forget somebody and they're going to get fucking pissed. Yeah. Yeah.
He's old, people. Give him a break.
Yeah, exactly. He's losing his mind.
The memories just aren't what they
need. Roach, Frazier, Gareth, Mike Livingston from Shriner. Mike Livingston from Shriner. He brings out Shriner big 55 now. He was closed loop taut line climber. That we got to, and he was great. That's just how he did it, and he was great. Him and Pete had done a ton of work together. He was a phenomenal crane removal guy, So and then, after second crane school, we finally got him at least a split tail system, just easier, dude. Especially you pull so much rope. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So, but that now he moved on and progressed, and now he's like big cheese crane operator with Shriner there. So, cool. Excellent operator, phenomenal operator. So I usually have him on my crew for, when we're doing the class and stuff. Cool. So he's good. So first group of instructors, but Gareth Peoples. Gareth Peoples?
I do. I mean a little bit, but yeah.
Had to be somebody else. No, maybe it was just the five of us. I don't know. I'm going to get in trouble because I'm missing somebody. Gene Gene, whatever his name was from Pendel. Yeah. We brought Pendel, the chapter in for registry. We needed him for registration. I got you. To handle the registration stuff.
Yeah, the administrative side and waivers and things like that.
We brought them on board for helping us with that stuff. But
seems like that's been a bit of a model. Like I'm seeing other classes and things like that.
I think it's a great model. At the end of the day, it took us and I think we kind of got it. Obviously there's always room for improvement and dialing things in and stuff like that. But that first year, like this is how it would. This year's class was not so different from first year's class.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? So really, I've kind of developed my own how I run my little thing, and but it's very similar to how we started the whole thing. So it's just grown exponentially.
It's cool.
So
and I know they Devin Canada they spun off. Canada.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and I feel bad that I never went up and returned the favor. When they called for help, they called for help, it was COVID.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm not doing what I need to do to get over the border. So, but yeah, I kind of feel bad about that. Honestly, I feel really bad about that. But they're in good shape now.
Yeah, they are.
So and now he's like, I'm not even going to ask you. So,
right.
So if you're listening to this, Devin, don't worry, I didn't want to come anyway.
What does it mean to you, the crane school? Like, what is it?
Oh, it's great. It's a ton of anxiety leading up to it.
Okay.
I don't want to do it. 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 And then the first 30 seconds that we get started, I'm like, here we go. This is awesome.
Yeah.
It's 3 days of awesome. Yeah. So, and I think it's probably because I have most anxiety over the classroom stuff. That's not my bag. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
So I have, but when I'm done it, I enjoyed having done it.
Yeah.
Right. But leading up to it, I'm like, I really don't want to do this. Can we make this shorter? Can we just do introductions? Ask Pete every year. I'm like, we're just in the classroom too long.
Yeah.
People are paying to come and do picks.
That's right.
We spend too much time in the classroom, and he's not wrong. And there's stuff that we do have to cover. So I think that still needs a little tweaking, how we handle the classroom portion of it. But other than that, I think it's a swell event. I really do. People coming from all over, it's hard to get into, which is great. It sells out every year quickly. Certainly the climber spots last year was a little slower because we did it in August.
Yep.
I'm sure it'll, like 30 minutes and I keep wanting to do a raffle, or a drawing, Facebook Live, open registration in November or December,
right?
Let whoever want to put their name in the hat.
Yeah.
And, come.
You've been chosen.
Do a live, sit down, have a couple drinks, do a live drawing, right?
Pretty cool.
And then your name gets drawn. You got like, I don't know, a couple days, 3 days, 7 days to make contact, split payment. If you don't, then we'll move down a list, so.
That's a neat
because there's been complaints about,
repeats
and people getting in and insider information, that's how we roll. Just gangster tree guys. That's what we do. So they pay. You want in early, you pay a little extra. That's
there you go.
That's it, right?
I got a friend of mine. It's a friend of mine. You guys are a friend of mine.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
So we had it at 60. That's as high as we got, which I wasn't really a fan of. The first 2-3 years, like I know most of those people. And once we got beyond that, once it got too big, I just
like intimate.
It was a lot more intimate and smaller, and really enjoyed that. And not that I don't enjoy it now, I just don't feel the same connection with the participants as I did then. So it's good, but we actually dialed it back a little bit.
This year was awesome.
Yeah, so we went from 10 climbers down to 8 climbers because that is the single biggest complaint and the only complaint that we've ever gotten. The only complaint, which is not true. I don't know what they are, but that's ego right there.
Was what picks? Amount of picks.
Yeah. And it's just a turnaround time, and it's just the process. I feel like, and that's the hard part of why you may not actually have done the pick. The way we dissect and let them do and dissect when that thing hits the ground and everything else. You're gaining all that. It's still all knowledge that you're gaining. You're just you know, but it's hard to get. That's why I like the smaller trees. We were talking about that this morning.
Yeah.
Bring that down a little bit, you know what I mean? Get rid of all that. Don't deal with these big giant. Nobody wants to do big giant log picks.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Or you want to do one.
Yeah.
You know, and like just to say
80
you did
foot
it.
of stick there or whatever.
Like just to say you did it. And they're like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
That's hard work.
I almost had the same. It's kind of weird because you're in a different role than I am. I just come in and coach or whatever. But I had a couple years where that time I'm like, do I really want to 3 days? Yeah. And then this year, same thing. I was in the tree. That was the other thing. I had stepped back and was letting others kind of, and I'm standing there like, I feel useless. You know, have I outgrown my usefulness? Blah, blah, blah. And
well, there was Roach too.
Yeah. And
He's
then
back,
and then this year I wound up, I got there and, oh man, his name. Anyway, he's like, can you, and I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I didn't want to come out of the tree. And then I felt like, okay. You know, so I kind of like plugged back in and just felt a whole lot better about it.
Right. Man, I had I can't remember what it was.
No, you had a thought.
Yeah.
I'll say something. If you think of it, let me know. Cut me off if you think of it. So basically, there's two parts to what I want to ask. One is for the people that haven't done the class, and they maybe you sell them on it, and then what are you getting in the class kind of thing. Maybe both of you guys can add that for the listeners to say, hey.
That was my thought.
Okay, good.
Was my thought.
Wow.
That's my job. That's my
Thank
job.
you.
I did it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
My thought. There's been a book written. There's an instruction manual, all that stuff. And if I could, I would just throw it in the trash, honestly, because at least for me, and I know most of the guys that are there. So what we modeled this around was just our shared experiences, our combined experiences, our 20 years of doing crane work, right? It's just 20 years of picking trees down, making mistakes, screwing stuff up, you know, bust a sidewalk here or there, you know, just not get the rigging right and everything else. And just all the trial and error that we went through, you know, so, and it's all come down to a lot of just feel. And this is the process that I came up with to do crane work. I will show you how I do crane work.
Right.
Right. And that's what most of this is. There's obviously, you know, the safety considerations.
Right.
And, you know, it's
theory.
Yeah. It's all in there. I jokingly say that, but yeah, it's more a class on like real world day to day. This is how we're going to rig this piece. Now, you know, sometimes we can get into production mode and really just kind of make picks, as they said. Sometimes we got to create picks just so to the best of our ability, we just give them, you know, and that's what the beauty of having the 4 to 5 different rotations is. You got, this is how I do crane work. This is how Roach does crane work. This is how Fraser does, or Gareth, or
Derek.
You know, whoever, Derek. You know, we all have our own little spin, our own little take on how we cut and the finesse and the finer things that we're looking at. You know, of how we all do crane work. So that's what you're getting out of this. You know, you're not coming sit and listen to me hammer for 3 days.
Right.
Nobody wants to do that.
Yep.
You know, I don't want to. You know, but now you're getting this wealth of knowledge from production guys.
Yeah.
You know, we're just getting out and just taking trees down, and this is how we're doing it. We're not making anything up. We're not, you know, we're not learning a technique over here, right? We're not being taught something and passing it on. This is literally just how we do crane work. So, and I think we have this great little pocket in our region of just exceptional crane setups and crane people. I mean, how many Pete's are there?
Right.
You know, how many Pete's and lift techs and guys, these crane companies that just literally like have multiple cranes and dedicate more than 90% of their work is tree work.
Yeah.
You know, like how many crane companies have invested into the tree industry as much as Pete has?
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
So,
I mean, yeah.
You know,
no, I agree.
One guy, Dave Schwarzenegger from Lift Techs, he's another one, but I would still, that's what he does. He's in the same category, but I don't even think he's invested. He's pushed as deep into it as Pete has.
No, it's awesome. I mean, it's definitely its own animal. I mean, I remember, I'm not launching, but just sort of that whole back in the day experience, storm work, and having a guy come out. He had no clue. He had done a couple static picks, That was an adventure.
Yeah.
That was 90, 96. I mean, I'm at that point, 12 years into my career, whatever. It's irrelevant, but it's unknown for a lot of the guys that are setting just air conditioners and signs, and they're picking stuff off the ground and setting it on the roof, and here you got this thing, and
Yeah, there's so many more variables you got to consider. You're not picking it off the ground. You're not picking it off a firm surface. You got an unknown weight.
Yep.
You can still do the math, but there's a part of the equation that's missing, and all you're plugging in is a best guesstimate. You know what I mean? And then you have the dynamic movement. So that's why it's so important to rig it properly. And that's, if you can pick it as it sits, right? This is how it sits. If you can pick it how it sits, and that thing don't go anywhere, that crane doesn't care. You know what I mean? Tree doesn't care. Nobody cares. You know what I mean? So it's fine. So that's the goal, in my opinion.
Yep. No, I agree. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. I just want to make sure the listeners can get that, because I'll tell you guys honest. The reason why I haven't signed up for the class is
because you're scared.
Damn it!
Because you're scared.
There goes my ego.
It's okay.
You've been outed.
It's okay. I know. It's okay, Brick.
I know you got me.
It's okay, Brick.
But honestly, it's because I don't have the implant, so it turns into. Yeah. See, now, are you interested? I know you are.
Yeah,
I know you. But you
come on out. We'll work it out.
No. I'm that's how you used to do crane work before headset comes. So,
yeah.
I mean, I know it's doable.
Yeah.
I've only done 3 crane jobs. Everything was fine, but that was the thing.
Hand signals, brother. It's all hand signals. And any crane guy you get into is going to be. It's all hand signals.
Hand signals. Yeah.
For the most part, there is some deeper discussions that happen nowadays with comms, but it's all about pre-planning.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Kind of knowing it and sticking as close as you can to that plan.
Sure.
And just remember, almost always you can just bail out of the tree and go down and have a conversation with him.
That's true.
You know what I mean? No, so he just put it right back up in there. Exactly. You know what I mean? So you get up there, you see something you don't like, or like, man, this isn't really sitting the way I thought it was sitting, and that plan we had of just grabbing this whole thing or whatever. When you get in the tree, your perspective changes.
Yes.
And scale changes and everything else just kind of changes. So if you get up in there and you're like, yeah, no, this ain't going to work the way we had planned. We need to rethink this. Mm-hmm. So there's not a crane operator in the world wouldn't be open to that. And if there is, he should be fired immediately. So, I mean, seriously.
You're right.
So,
Nope. 100%.
No, I appreciate it. And that's something that is...
I get mad when guys don't know hand signals anymore. I mean, they're so simple. Why do you not know hand signals, right? I mean, they're literally that simple, but you have to, you just have to have a good plan, good communication with whatever communication means you have available to you. So it's that simple. Me and Pete were did a crane job. We had a whistle. He did 100% blind picks. Couldn't see anything. You know what I mean? And the guy out of the ground. So he's just like head out the door, cabling down, just listening, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, but he had his radius on his crane. He kind of had a ballpark where everything's going to sit and all that stuff, So we got it done,
Yep.
So
that's neat.
And that was my fault because I said, oh, he can come in and set this way and get it. And he got there and went, nah, you're a dipshit. That's not how this works at all. So I have to do this. And now we have this. I'm like, all right, we'll figure it out. Yeah. So we did.
Yeah. You made it work.
Yeah. So
nice.
Cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
All right.
Bring it.
So
bring it. No, because I invited you as a guest before. I said, just come on out. Just come hang out with us.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. You were there, right?
I was there.
All right.
I can't remember what year. 2017, 2016, 17. I hung out and ran around the ground trying to help and stuff.
Oh, okay. But I thought so.
I did.
But you've never come as a student, as a participant.
Like actually doing picks and stuff. That's what I'm like. I feel, and again, it's just me. I feel bad because people that are going to be doing the crane work, you know what I mean? I'm like, hey man, like I want you to have the opportunity, kind of a thing. I can do the crane work. I like I said, I've done 3 jobs and everything went well because I have a lot of experience with trees. So I understand, like that's what you're talking about, what you're teaching in class. There's a lot of all these like, hands-on experience that you have to have that experience as a tree person while doing crane work. So when you're making a cut, you see it move just slightly, you know how it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those are things that you guys are teaching in that class more than just to pick themselves. And I fully understand it.
Right.
I'm just saying from my perspective, I always feel like if I'm up there, you have an instructor, I can't really, unless it's you or the guys that I know, lip reading, I'm like, and I feel like wasting time and somebody else can have that opportunity. That's always why I said I'll be happy to show up, support, but not take a spot that somebody else is trying to buy into. Because I know when I go back to work, I'm not really going to be doing crane work yet.
Right. That sounds to me like an ego thing. Like I'm better than that. I don't really need to take this class, so I'll let somebody else do it. That's what that sounded like to me.
And this is why I love you.
I hear you. I've been in that position before too. Where I've just like. Not that I couldn't benefit from this, but he's going to benefit more than I will. So I'm going to take a step back and let him get in there and do his thing. So I get that. Or being scared, one or the other. It's fine.
This is
I love it.
I'm just sitting back. I'm loving it. It's good stuff. Because I'm not drawing the object of his ire right now. It's good. Yeah. I'm out of range right.
Yeah.
No, it's good, man.
Yeah.
What?
I mean,
I think, first of all, as always, we always say that at some point in the future, we'll have the guests back and touch on other subjects and stuff.
Sure. There's a whole bunch of, right? I didn't get to people I didn't mention that because ever since I got that text from you the other night, where you're like, here's how we're going to do this. We're going to ask these questions and everything. I haven't even really, not that I haven't thought about it, but I haven't really given it any thought to how this was going to go, or procedures or anything like that since then. But since I got that text from you, I don't think I've slept more than like 3 hours a night. I have asked myself every
let me look at my list.
Question. No. I have asked myself every question that a guy could ask himself. It's crazy. Like the amount that my wheels have been turning over this thing, that's wild. So it's nuts. Yeah. So
it's a good thing, right?
Oh yeah.
It's good.
It's great. We filled an hour of whatever, hold on. I haven't even, in my opinion, I honestly feel like there's like, we could go,
but
we could go for another 4 hours.
I finally get you back now. You said you were not a deep thinker.
Yeah, but like that sounds more like anxiety.
Are you scared to go deep, Mike? What's the problem, man? Are you afraid we're going to pull out some?
Hey, anxiety and paranoia.
Yeah.
That's me.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
No, it's fun to unpack. And one of the things I did have written down, and I'm just we can kind of like, we see the plane maybe coming in for a landing, but we can. So,
I'm not. I don't care. I mean, you guys, whatever. I'm just saying.
That's
where we're at right now.
I look at the list just because I don't want to leave, and this is what we find is.
Oh yeah.
We'll get done, and then 2 hours later, I'm like, I should have asked him this, or it's like going to the doctor, and I don't have a list.
Yeah.
And my wife said, "Did you ask about that?" I'm like, "No."
Oh, dude, maybe don't send me to the doctor. Yeah, even whatever I have going on, she goes. No, she doesn't. But you know what I'm saying? Like. She wouldn't dream of letting me take my kids to the doctor or anything like that. No,
believe me. I'm saying like I know. Like I get it.
No.
Because I'm like, the doctor said kid's fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
Let's go.
He's fine. Well, what did he say? He's fine. Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah.
Everything's good. Everything works. Well, I'll do that with Rick. I'll ask Rick, Rick Yost, good friend of ours, South Jersey tree guy. A lot of you guys listen to probably know him. How's everything going? He's like, good, fine. I'm good. Doctor says I'm as healthy as an ox.
Yeah.
I love it. Great. It's cool, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got a few good years left in me. You know what I mean?
All right, what do you got? Shoot.
So I'm thinking about, because you're what are you,
53?
Okay. So I'm 59. I'll be 60 in April. You're 44. You're the younger statesman here. And maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just a continuation of what we already talked about. But like, was there anything? So there's the physical realm, but there's also that, like the mental aspect about life. Because for me personally, I'm relating personally, when I hit 50, I felt like I had just a little bit of a shift, and I can unpack mine, but I'm asking you, you hit 50, what things changed for you mentally? Your perspective on life, on tree work, relationships, your body physically, what?
No, I'm going to sit here.
Have to look forward
to? I'm going to tell nothing.
Okay.
Nice. Nothing.
So a continuation of
just a continuation of that may be a product of like having kids late and like none of that stuff matters. You know what I mean? I started over, right? Like I got to be young. I can't get old at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
53. I got a 9 and 11-year-old. I got to keep up with.
Sure.
Right. So
yeah.
That's just how that happens. My 50th birthday was a fucking disaster. I'll tell you that right now. Okay. It was just like, I don't know. I put a post up. Like I woke up, my neck was messed up. Like all this 50. Like weird little throughout the entire day. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Is this what I have to look forward to? Is this it? Yeah. Like one little tiny disaster after another and built up. I was like, oh man, what is going on here? But yeah, no, age is just a number.
Okay.
Right? You're only as old as you feel kind of business. Yeah. And I truly believe that.
Okay, good.
Stay healthy, stay right, stay fit. And all, nobody lives forever and you're not going to,
sure.
But you gotta, you can stay on top of that wave for a pretty long time as long as you take care of your shit.
That's awesome.
Oh, good. Yeah. I always say, like when people are getting old, I'm like, like old. I'm just getting older. Just remember, like
you're
I'm
aging.
not old.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I feel like that's
not compared to him. You're not.
No.
It's all relative. I told you, it's going to be coming left and right. Yeah. But I think it's an important mind shift. Like kind of what your mindset is what is keeping you going that way.
Yeah.
Because I hear it a lot and I understand it. But like when you hit 40, when you hit 50, when you hit 60, it's going to switch. And I think there has to be some truth to it, but it's based on the person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your biological age. Your biological age. Because you could be a certain age number, but you could be, Mark talked about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Kevin Ham talks about that quite a bit too, about, hey, he had his scan done. It's like, I have a 42-year-old. Yeah. My numbers are that of a man much younger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know what I think? As you guys are talking, I'm listening. I'm thinking about the narratives we talked about and how narratives can get in your head. Mm-hmm. Society throws a lot of narratives at us. A lot of times populations are controlled by narratives, right? Mm-hmm. And things that are propagandized and all. And I think a lot of those standard things you hear when you hit X, when you wait till you're this, and when we allow it to creep into our psyche and we start to regurgitate those same concepts and thoughts, we become those things rather than Mike's attitude's great. And it's interesting.
Because I generally have a bad attitude.
Yeah, well, those of us that know, Yeah. No, but and here's what's funny, and this just goes to personality, because when I hit 50, I felt like I had even less time for BS. Like my circle's getting tighter, and I was like, I wonder if Mike feels any of that. But then I realized you're kind of like that. I
think it's just an organic thing that happens. I really do. I literally think it just happens organically, and I never gave it much thought, but my circle is small.
Yeah.
Small. It's very small. Yeah. So there's not people out on this planet that I wouldn't bury a body for, but they're just not part of my day-to-day life,
Understood.
So
cool.
Yeah. Literally, it was literally outside of that day. You know what I mean? Like, I can't let that be a thing. I literally can't let that be my age be a thing. So I still need to be a father to my boys, and like be a father, be that guy. You know what I mean? So. Some days it's tough, some days you work hard. You didn't sleep good last night. This summer's been pretty rough as far as sleep and stuff goes. So, there's been a little too much chair time, you know what I mean? And I literally my boys are making fun of me now.
Oh yeah.
There's some pictures floating around of Cam making fun of me. So, and I'm like, that's funny. It's not really, like from a, like I'm a shithead perspective. Like,
sure.
It's not really that funny,
Yeah, so. I get it.
So it's tough, but you know, I gotta be that guy. And if I act like, because I've met 53-year-olds, you know, I was 25 once dealing with 53-year-olds, like you're relic, you're a dinosaur, you know what I mean? So I haven't met, and even through my career, I haven't met too many 50-plus-year-old guys that are like Chisholm or Kramer, or you know, guys that are just still out there doing it every day and doing it at a very high level.
Yep.
You know, and there's not a ton out there. I don't think. Could be wrong.
No,
you know?
I agree.
You know, it may be a young man's game, but it doesn't mean an old man can't do it.
Sure. No, and I notice that in my, you know, I'm not out every day, but I'm out a few days a week, and even to the point where sometimes I'm trying to take on a little more, because we were doing more contracting stuff, and I've backed off of that, and I'm inserting myself, and it's cool getting in that fine point, that climbing edge.
Yeah,
they're on a lot of guys when I look around. You know, like you said, Mark, Todd, Bert Kuhn.
Yeah, you know, there's I'm sure there's a ton
that I consider contemporaries.
Or whatever. You know, so you know? I'm sure there's a ton, but it's not the norm.
Oh yeah,
sure,
I would say it's definitely in the minority aspect of it.
Yeah,
meaning like there's less. You're saying there's a ton, but in the grand picture of it, I'm sure it's very little that are still performing at that level after 50.
Yeah. Every time I run into Paul Van Knocker, he's a rep over Bandit. He just looks at me. He's like, "You ready yet?" He wants to hire me. I'm like, first of all, you don't want to hire me. Trust me. But he's like, "You ready yet?" And I'm like, "Nope,
nah,
not ready yet, bud."
Just tell him, not even a thought.
You tell him you're going kicking and screaming.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what
100%.
You know,
but it's I can't let it. Got to stay on top of the wave.
Do you do anything else? Like, do you have a routine? Anything you do?
I need to start, and I talk about that a lot, and talk about it with Amy a bunch. You know what I mean? Like, I just need to, you know, I've burned a lot of time doing stupid shit where I could be, you know, doing something else. So, and it's the same thing. I mean, your kids probably benefited from it greatly. Your kids growing up benefited from it. You know, seeing you get out, and all my kids really see me do is work. You know what I mean? Or do work. They never see me doing the extra stuff that I really should be doing. You know, mobility's mobility's a little tougher these days. You know, like you know what I'm saying.
I do.
Right.
Exactly. Yes.
Just so, you know, not as flexible, not as fast, not as, you know, those things, but still super efficient, still good. Mm-hmm. You know, but the problem is I keep going, well, it's still good. Still good. It's still good. Yeah. And they're going to be, you know, kind of creeping their way down a little bit, maybe not realize that they were creeping down, and find myself in a spot where, you know, now I have an injury that's going to prevent me from, you know, it's going to seal the deal. So no, I do definitely still, I get, you know, fits every now and then, and like body weight stuff, and, you know, but I enjoy running. I don't run anymore. You know, rock climbing, loved it. The adventure of it, you know, and this summer has like, you know, I miss the adventure in my life, and all the cool shit I've done over the years. And like, I feel like I'm doing my boys a disservice by not still doing that and getting them involved in all that stuff. So that's all changing.
So something we're working on.
Aware. I've grown incredibly aware of those awesome things. So you know, but that's only, knowing is only half the battle.
It is.
I don't even think it's half the battle. I think it's, you know,
the thought and the deed. There's a quantum leap between the thought and the deed. Yeah.
I would say, and again, this is listener perspective, but even if maybe you're not aware of it, or we did talk about it, instead of looking at it as you got to get back to exercise, it's all good. It's all good.
No, I had look.
It's magic.
Look.
Well, hopefully, it's not super important.
Oh, JP Morgan Chase called me.
Nice. There you go. It's important.
Yeah.
I'll just wrap it up real quick.
You saw it.
No, it's all good.
It's all good. But the mindset shift, just movement. And I talked about this in my talk. Like, people are like, exercise. I'm like, bro, get rid of it.
Yeah.
If it turns into that, great.
Yeah.
But movement, it could be as simple as when you get home after you put your kids to sleep, you literally lay down on the floor, you roll over, you do one push-up, moving it a certain way, and it's movement. You're starting to be like, okay, like aware of your body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you're done.
Yeah.
And then the next day you're like, oh, let me play with this. And then that usually will lead into, okay, I have more of a structure now. This is what I want to do. So I try to tell people that movement is what you're looking for, not this program, this exercise.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with being strong though.
Listen,
You're not wrong with being strong.
I love
it. Movement, flexibility, just motion is
it's a good way to get into it.
I feel better. I hurt less when I can.
Yes.
I can attribute it to that. When I get sedentary and a little more the back hurts a little more, the neck hurts a little more, all this stuff, so yeah, you gotta,
cool.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation. I really enjoyed this.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we're glad you came. And I mean, we have moments, lunches we've had, conversations we've had. I appreciate it, but it's always good to we always have that spot where we end, but it's a jumping off point for future conversations, which is is good. So, I know you're not huge on social media, but you're at Custom Climber Services on Instagram. If people want to follow you, follow what you're doing, see some of the things you're doing. You can catch Mike at keep your eyes open for anything industry news for Crane Safety Climber School. Mm-hmm. Mike plays a big role in that, and you'll get a chance to do some hands-on work with Mike there. I can say from my own perspective, when I show up at that group, you want to talk, I don't know, for me, humility-wise, just I see the caliber of men, working there and the level of things getting done. It's humbling to me.
It is a great, it's great. It's a great event. I want to say world-class. It
is world class. Absolutely,
100%.
Yeah, the people that are involved in that largely volunteer their time is.
Anyway, you got some final thoughts you want to wrap?
Oh man, we always will continue.
All right,
always. Right?
Roger that.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Peace and health, man.
All right
now.
Roger that. Over and out.